Let's be honest, it is a process to figure out what to bring with you on house calls. Figuring out what the client needs, what you need, and what you can actually realistically move around and manage. And so today I want to share with you the things that I find to be really important to bring on house calls, some things that I like to have, and some things that are unique to the type of work that I do. So let's get into it. First, and pretty obviously, is a massage table. Some of my clients actually do have massage tables, and I appreciate so much when they do because it saves me a lot of energy. But for the most part, you got to bring a table. Next is also a somewhat no-brainer, which is sheets. And it's true, some clients will want to provide their own sheets, and you can always ask them to provide sheets to cut down on costs. But for the most part, I bring my own sheets. 3, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. I think you can't go without the table warmer. From my experience and the place where I live and just the way that the houses are set up, it's really unpredictable to know the temperature that people keep their houses at, and they don't really think ahead to, oh, I'm going to be pretty much naked on a table. So the space could be just flat out too chilly for a massage. You need the table warmer. I also like to have with that a little extra fleece pad because nobody wants to feel plastic under the sheets. I have done massage trades before where I'm laying on a table and it's just a sheet on top of plastic, and it's like it's not a nice experience. So, table warmer with padding or a table warmer and padding. Okay, number 4. I wish I could do without this, but I really got to bring a blanket. And some people, again, do have blankets that you can use in their home. I tend not to want to use them because I don't want to get oil on their blankets. But I can't go without the blanket. It's bulky, and I wish I could because you got to move it around and it makes things more complicated. But you can't give a massage when someone's cold. It's just a very unpleasant experience to receive. You need the body to be in a relaxed state. So, gotta have the blanket, and you never know what temperature they're keeping their house at. Number 5, a high quality face cradle, and whatever you call the plastic thing that it goes on, the structure piece. I don't really know if that has a name. So I have found that if you don't have an expensive table, if you have a pretty, let's go and say it, cheap table with not a lot of padding, even a little rickety, it's okay. You really don't notice, but what you do notice is the face cradle. And I have experienced this firsthand that if that thing is like kind of broken or moving around too much, or if the pillow is too thin, or if it's not aligned properly, the pillow on the plastic piece, and you're sitting there for an hour to 90 minutes, your face gets bruised and it rubs, and it's just, it really makes it difficult to relax and enjoy the process. So even when I am going into a location where they have a massage table and it comes with a face cradle already, I will bring mine in because I purchased an elevated one. And the one that I have is going to be better than what came with the table, even if it's a nice table. So, and same goes with the table warmer. I will bring those 2 things in, even if they already have a table, because 1, you don't want to be laying on a crappy face pillow, and you don't want to feel plastic under the sheets. It's just this little thing that you can do to elevate the experience, I find is so important, and it makes a really big difference in how much care someone feels like you take in your business and of them. Next, we have a long bolster. So again, bringing it back to the cheaper tables, they tend to be a little bit on the more narrow side. And even tables that are just meant to be portable are on the more narrow side. But I have found that if you use a full-size bolster that's actually a little wider than the width of most of these tables, when you're on the table, you really don't notice how narrow it is because there's usually arm inserts on the top half, but not on the bottom half. So by having the longer bolster, you give the legs more room to kind of open up and still feel supported without feeling like, oh, I'm going to fall off the table if I relax my knees open or something like that. So having a long full-size bolster is really key, especially if you're going to use one of the thinner tables. Next is thick hand towels. So I've been using these as actually little mini bolsters under the shoulder, under the sternum, under the neck, under the back. They're a really easy way to just get a little bit more movement in the joints to get to other things. I also like to use them for neck traction. It's good if you want to cover up a bolster to use under someone's head and you don't want to go through the whole process of putting it under the table warmer. Just to put a cover on something, we're getting to this one. I'll just do it now. The stool. Okay, so I bring a stool with me, and you can put someone's arm up on the stool to move the position of the arm and, have the towel to cover that up. Use it to wipe your hands at the end. It's really good to have a towel. So the stool, sometimes I'm working on the neck for 20 minutes or more. And if I get the chance to sit down, I'm going to want to do that. So the stool folds up. It's flat. I keep it in a suitcase. It doesn't take up that much room in a suitcase. And it's worth it for me to bring. Some people have nice cushy carpets and some people do not. They have hardwood floors and I'm sorry, but my knees don't want to do that anymore. So yes, I bring a stool with me as well. All right, now we're getting into the emollient. My personal choice, I like to use non-scented. Just as a rule, I use non-scented because I never know if someone's going to be sensitive to a scent. I mean, over time, of course, you learn that about someone, but when you have a new client, you don't know. So in general, I pick non-scented, but then I also keep a second type of emollient with me. Usually, so I use gel generally, but the second one is going to be something more thicker, like a balm or a cream that I can use for deeper work. And that one I like to have scented, so I can actually use it, if the person's okay with it, up by their neck. And they can have just, a little moment of, essential oils. And if I get bored and I want to smell something nice, I can pull it out and use it wherever and have a moment of, that's nice. So, and I keep the second one for that reason, but also because sometimes I misjudge how much I'm going to need for a session. And I have come up against running out in the middle of a session. And so having a backup is really, really important. All right, now we're getting into some obviouses. Water. I keep a water bottle with a straw because you can't be opening up no water bottles. I just try to walk by, take a quick swig. Snack. And for some reason, when I am working, my lips get so dry. So lip balm. Without fail, at the end of a massage, I need to go to the bathroom, I need to drink water, and I need to put on lip balm. I don't understand why, but it is what it is. I make sure to have liquid Band-Aid. I have gotten cuts on the way to places. Sometimes my cuticle will start to bleed because I do try to, shave them. I don't know if shave is the word. Shave them down, and sometimes I'll do it a little too close, and I'll have my cuticle bleeding. I've nicked my finger on the buckle of my massage table, and you can't be massaging someone with a bleeding hand. And it's really not ideal either to use a Band-Aid. So, liquid Band-Aid, I keep that with me. I keep a nail file or a nail clipper because, you get the sharp edges. Sometimes you need that. Something to keep time and play music, which for most people could just be their phone. And then for my phone, a charger and or battery backup. I also keep some sanitizing wipes. Some people's floors are not clean and I like to work barefoot and I don't want to put my dirty feet back in my shoes. I also will sometimes use it to wipe down the table or to wipe down little tools that I use. So it's good to have. And then lastly on the list of must-haves for me is a mask. I don't usually wear a mask, but having it with me I find it's a good thing to offer. If someone's saying they're not feeling well and you're going to be up close to their face to offer to wear a mask. Also, if there's like an allergy thing going on in someone's house, which has happened, and for some reason you're getting nose drips that you didn't have a minute ago, the mask is really helpful. I just like to keep it with me just in case. All right. Now, we got a couple things, a shorter list of things that are not an absolute necessary, but I think are nice to have. And that is a smaller size bolster. So before I'm talking about the full length one, this other one that I have is about half length. And I use that for, excuse me, I had a hiccup. I use that for when I want to put someone on their side. I have a way of arranging pillows in order to provide some sort of support, and that does help. I also like to use it to change the position of the neck, various other things. It comes in handy, so I like to have the smaller size bolster. I have a speaker. I didn't always have a speaker, but now I keep a speaker with me, and I think that has elevated the experience for me and for them to not have the sound coming out of my phone. I have QR codes on a sheet that are scannable for payment, which have Zelle and Venmo. People don't really use Cash App anymore, but that was on there. And that's really helpful, and it gets used all the time. So I love having that with me. I keep notes on all my clients. So usually I have with me a page that it's not, what would you call it, laminated? Sure, it's a laminated page that I write with white erase board markers on there, and I'll just wipe it off and rewrite it for each person. And I keep notes with me of things that I want to remember, things I want to work on, areas that were tight on them before. It's got a body map on there. I personally like my notes. I work much better with notes, so I bring those. I also like to have an essential oil spray, and it's just something I like to use, especially in between sessions if I'm seeing more than one person, to kind of try to clear the energy of the space and in the room. And to be honest, sometimes the rooms can get a little stinky depending on what's coming out of the person, you know what I mean? So I like to have a little room spray. And let's see, and the last thing on that list are my tools. I have a couple just little tools that I like to have with me. For me, it's some blades like the gua sha blades, and a little thumb assist just in case my thumb craps out or I don't want to try to dig into a certain little area. But, things like cups, just little things that you can also bring are nice to have to provide just like a little variation. And sometimes people do ask, they're like, do you do this or do you do this? And so I bring it. So this last grouping is just a couple things, and these are more things that are just specific to the type of massage work I do, but this would be like for other people who do pregnancy, it would be pregnancy pillows, or if you do hot stone, it would be the hot stones, or if you do more relaxation based, it would be essential oils or an eye mask. If you're more sports, it could be muscle tape or pain patches or muscle rub. For me, I bring wedges. So these are blocks that you can put under the pelvis. You could put them in a lot of places, and they just help to even out the joints, or they help to I'm not going to explain what they're for, but I bring them. Chiropractors use them, and I find that they're good for helping to correct the alignment of the joints. I also work on a number of clients who are women, and some of them have implants, and some of them just have large breasts. So I didn't start out with this, but it seemed like a good thing to buy based off of the clientele that I ended up with. So I bought a breast pillow, which is a pillow that has holes for the boobies to hang down so they're not getting so squished when you're face down. So I do carry that with me. And lastly is some rubber gloves. And I know this can sound weird, but sometimes when you're working the jaw, you want to get inside the mouth and to work some muscles from inside the mouth. So that's what those are there for. I do not do that on most people. It's generally something that they ask for or something that I get into as a specialty. But yeah, that's all the things. And I try to get all of that into one giant suitcase and then a bag that I carry over my shoulder. The table at this point, I have a skinny table because I found a brand that actually makes a backpack bag for the travel size table. The table can only be a certain amount wide. So, it is what it is. But being able to wear the table on my back and then wheel the suitcase and have the other bag over my shoulder has been such a blessing and an upgrade. And I know I could probably cut back a little, and I probably should, but this is where we're at for now. And thank you for listening. I hope this helps.